Welcome to Flat Ride of the Week, Episode 5. This time I'll be changing things up and having a casual discussion with my head server moderator, Sam, aka Misty Viper, about Skycoasters. Sam worked the Skycoaster Red Hawk at Six Flags Darien Lake, so he has a lot of insight to share. We also have Other Brennan. I'm named Brennan. This is Other Brennan, who is a former ride operator at Cedar Point and a current ride operator at Carowinds, as well as our local Skycoaster enthusiast. Let's get started. So for some basic history on the Skycoaster, William Kitchen and Ken Bird came up with the idea of a Skycoaster in 1992. They wanted to recreate the thrill of skydiving or bungee jumping with the safety of a merry-go-round.
The Skycoaster was created in the early 90s as a safer alternative to the bungee jumping craze of the era. Under US Thrill Rides, or Sky Fun 1 Inc. as it was called at the time, with the first permanent installation coming to Kennywood in 1994. Granted, there were traveling Skycoasters before, and this random traveling Skycoaster that showed up at Six Flags New England in 1992. They quickly became one of the best-selling rides ever with over 120 installations, not counting the traveling Skycoasters of the past.
And all of the traveling Skycoasters, which I believe there are 3 made, have all been removed.
Now, park owners saw these Skycoasters, these cool new thrill rides being installed everywhere, and that kicked off the Skycoaster frenzy.
Skycoaster War.
The Skycoaster Wars, yes, that is such a cool thing. It's like Minecraft Sky Wars, but you're just throwing like Intamins and V&Ms at each other. Wah, wah. 1 or 2 Skycoasters a year have been consistently added ever since, up until about 2016 when installations slowed down.
All right, and then there are multiple different types of Skycoasters, both varying in height and design. Particularly, you have the arch design and the A-frame design, which also have the variations of the truss and then the pillars. Correct?
Yeah. Do you see the truss was the original design, It's really the classic Skycoaster design. You walk up to a park, you see this massive towering structure, usually painted black because...
Well, actually, normally it's unpainted, in my experience. At least the Ohio ones are. So there's 4 cookie-cutter models of the Skycoaster. There's the 125-foot or 38-meter single tower. Then there's the 175-foot or 53-meter dual tower, the 175-foot, 53-meter single tower, and the 250-foot or 76-meter dual tower, with more heights and shapes available based on location and customer requirements. Also, recently, there's been the 100-foot or 30-meter model and the 110-foot or 34-meter model have become really popular with most recent Skycoaster editions.
So, the ride system is very redundant, but it's pretty unique how they apply it. It's almost like skydiving, but with cables. So, there's 2 towers, or 3 towers in the case of a double Skycoaster. A flight tower and a launch tower with a winch on the launch tower. That winch will reel a cable attached to a launch bridle. The bridle connects to a flight cable on the flight suit. A rider pulls a ripcord and releases the launch cables at the top of the launch towers on the operator's command, 3, 2, 1, fly. The rider will do a few swings before the kinetic energy runs out and they grab the loop. A long pole with a hoop on the end, like something you'd see at a pool, attached to a motor that will slow your momentum down enough for the operator to grab your ripcord and return you back to the platform.
So the only notable accident on a Skycoaster happened in 2003 at Wet n Wild Emerald Point in Greensboro, North Carolina. It was an employee ride night on their Skycoaster Sam, you can describe exactly what happened.
Okay, so basically there is a thing that Skycoaster recognizes as an official thing that you should probably not do. This is called stunting. It is basically hooking yourself up in a way that is abnormal to the usual way. In this case, they hook themselves up backwards, facing the launch tower, that is, with their feet dropping first. So, you get raced to the top, and if you have a rolling platform, that is supposed to be pushed out of the way. If you have a scissor lift platform, that should raise up or down. Well, in this case, they had a rolling platform. The ops on the ground never pushed it away. So he got first 2 good, hopefully functional at the time feet, into the rolling platform, and then got his head into the rolling platform, and just a slap, 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 slap became became a Vekoma Sky Coaster.
A real
Ran
headbanger.
backwards, and the pain.
Yeah, a little headbanger.
Just a little bit of headbanging,
And
not as
local,
much as an SLC.
our local Sky Coaster enthusiast here, Brandon, may or may not have ridden a Sky Coaster in a stunting position.
The world may never know.
How was the ride experience on this ride you may or may not have had?
Well, first of all, I'm glad I did not have the experience that was just mentioned. It was a lot scarier than a normal ride on a Sky Coaster.
I could
It's
imagine.
a lot scarier. You don't. I don't know how to explain it. You just don't see where you're going. Well, obviously you don't see where you're going. You're going backwards.
Yes.
But you feel like you're falling back, like towards your back instead of falling towards your front. And it's such a scary feeling because you feel like you're actually falling and you're actually about to die, which is, for me, I think that's how a ride should feel. Like, that's how you have a fun ride, if you feel like you're about to die.
Wow, what an interesting theoretical ride that you may or may not have definitely not had on a Sky Coaster.
But after hearing that story, I will never do it again.
And I, for one, have never done it, and I don't condone doing it.
No one here condones stunting on a Sky Coaster, nor has anyone here done it, possibly. So,
although I would like to add that the situation that happened in that story can also happen when you're going forwards. So
that's true. That is true. There were
That
multiple
is true.
factors at play in that 2003 accident. More than just stunting. That was
If he
unrelated.
was forward, though, he would have saw the rolling platform, been like, "Hey, get that out of my face before
I'm
I
not
run
pulling the
into it."
ripcord. Yeah.
He could, yeah, because Sky Coasters are manual. You control the ripcord as the rider.
3, 2, 1, fly.
fly.
Stays there.
Fly.
3, 2, 1, yeet.
I did that once. That was very fun.
All right, and then back on topic. Recently, Ride Entertainment, who distributes Sky Coasters, started working with KCL, the same people who did the stunning lighting on Hang Time and Monster. They actually tested the lighting on the 250-foot or 76-meter model at Fun Spot Orlando, showing off the 8 lighting programs. Also,
speaking of that Sky Coaster, that specific one, little fun fact, that was relocated from MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Bet you didn't know that.
Wow.
well, an interesting thing with its whole relocation is that the park itself, when did MGM Grand close? Early 2000s, I believe. But the ride stayed there on property and was actually able to be rented out to private groups up until it was relocated to Fun Spot Orlando in 2012.
On the topic of fun facts, here's a fun fact. Sky Coasters reached Giga status 3 years before regular coasters did.
That's right. Sky Coasters are superior to regular coasters.
Giga Sky Coaster.
I have.
Giga Sky
I'm the only
Coaster.
one here who has ridden the Giga Sky Coaster.
I've had friends who have ridden
It was
the Giga
very
Sky.
tall. It was very windy. And, yeah, they just let me fly anyway. The 250-foot one I thought was better, but the 250-foot one I also got a double flight on, whereas I got stuck with a single flight on the 300-foot one. So it was good, but I prefer the 250-foot one. That's still my favorite Sky Coaster.
So I don't know if I'm technically supposed to say this, but the risk of flying in the wind should present itself as pretty obvious, but it is veering too far left or too far right.
In which case, you would smack right into the support towers, what's the official name for those towers?
Flight towers.
Flight towers. Which will be rather uncomfortable, I imagine.
You
I
go
think-
yeet.
According to the accident report of one such scenario, it only causes minor injury.
Huh. I had no idea one such situation had ever happened.
Yeah, it's pretty under the radar because, as I said, it only causes minor injury.
But Skycoasters generally do not run in very high winds.
Yes, if they do run in high winds, that is operator error, as there is an altimeter in the suiting room.
Do you think Kennywood's is more susceptible to winds because of steel curtains supports?
That is a good question.
That's a great question.
Weren't they only doing like double flights maximum after steel curtain opened?
I believe so.
Yes.
I got a single flight on it.
So other rides in the area can affect the wind in the flight line.
Well, that's interesting because usually the higher the wind, you start cutting off. You start adding riders. You don't cut off riders.
Well, it's not just the wind. It's just the fact that steel curtain support is literally almost in the flight path.
Near miss on a Skycoaster.
A head chopper on a Skycoaster.
They advertised that with blast off. They said if it launched at the same time, which is our space shot, if it launched at the same time that a Skycoaster would do a flyby, it would create a near miss. And being on both rides, it creates the near miss on blast off, but it doesn't on the Skycoaster because there's too much wind in your face.
I will say Red Hawk is a spectacular Skycoaster at Darien Lake.
Probably the best.
It's one of the better ones for sure, especially at a lower height. I believe. What's the height of Red Hawk?
I wouldn't call it low, but it's in the 180s. I believe the launch tower is 189 feet, with the flight towers being 185.
Okay. And that was one of the earlier Skycoasters. One of the worst Skycoasters out there is Cedar Point's. Although, Brennan, didn't you have pretty negative things to say about Kings Islands?
Well, it was more so the crew at Kings Island because they put me in the wrong suit.
Oh, yes. That's another topic altogether, and that is the flight suit, which is there's variable flight suits for the height of each rider. Sam, do you know the specifics?
Okay, so I don't know specifics, but I know that pink suit is the smallest.
And what's
blue suit?
Do you know the minimum height on a Skycoaster? I believe it's
42 inches.
48 or 42. I think it varies depending on the park.
It probably varies depending on the park. We usually go with the lowest at Darien Lake. So it is 42 for ours, I believe.
Because I know Cedar Point's is 48 because they use the red height stick.
Cedar Point doesn't really want to do anything under 48 with extreme rides. It's just kind of a Cedar Fair thing. They're kind of cautious overly to some degree. So yeah.
Yeah, we want to have we have kids. I don't know. I don't think I'm supposed to say ages. I think they told me that at one point, but we have some pretty young kids riding Skycoasters.
48 inches, that's like 7-8 years old normally, I think.
Yeah, we have younger than that,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. But, and I think, is there a suit between pink and blue? I don't think there. It might be purple, but I can't exactly remember. But I know that blue suits are average height. Red suit is little above average. Then black suit, that's when you're getting into some pretty tall territory. Like if you're the type of guy who ducks when you're coming into Walmart, you're probably gonna wear a black suit.
LeBron James.
And then also they've recently came out with some other experiences on a Skycoaster, specifically Sky Sled, which is being introduced at Skycoasters across the country and tried at many more. Where basically you're in a sitting position for the entirety of the ride.
So basically just a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But better.
With a beyond vertical drop.
Yeah, I mean, better.
Better, yeah. Sky coasters
Way
are
better.
just inherently more thrilling than roller coasters because of the sensation of falling.
Yeah, definitely agree.
And the fact that you're in control.
If you haven't ridden one, you should. They are the best flat ride.
Just take a couple $100 if you plan on having more than one
Or
person ride.
become a site controller, because that leads on to our next point, and that is Skycoasters, they have a great safety record, and that's because of the redundancy, which you've already talked about, and well-trained ops. And that's because all Skycoaster operators are trained and certified differently than the regular park ride ops. They're actually trained and certified by Skycoaster themselves. So regardless of how much you trust or don't trust the park's ride ops, you can always feel safe on their Skycoaster because they have to be certified by Skycoaster. And
Skycoaster
with that,
will send a guy. They'll send a guy from wherever. I think it's some Midwestern state, but I know that Ride Entertainment also distributes Skycoasters, so they obviously have some say in it. They'll have a guy fly out to wherever your park is, inspect your Skycoaster, audit your ops. It's fantastic how just on it they are with safety.
Yeah, and when they come out to inspect, they can certify people as site controllers, which essentially means you are authorized to operate the Skycoaster if there's no other site controllers in the area. It's more or less a supervisor kind of thing.
And it sort of also means you're trained.
It also means you are trained to work on the Skycoaster. You could do maintenance on it, which works at some parks, but larger parks, obviously like Cedar Point, you're not going to have the normal ride operators doing maintenance on it. But me and I think all of us have actually witnessed them doing Skycoaster certification, correct?
Indeed.
Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, so we all have. Cedar Point actually held an event for the normal ride ops to come in and fly a day the park was closed so that the Skycoaster crew could get certified.
That was a great day.
It was just flights over and over.
I had some friends go to that. They went with some of the Skycoaster crew because I was with them, and they went to Cedar Point, and they loved it there. They didn't like your Skycoaster as much. No,
our Cedar Point Skycoaster is pretty terrible compared to the others. It was one of the first as well. I think it opened in 96 or 94. And it's a lot shorter. It's like 123 feet, which is really kind of short. Not the shortest. I believe
it's 163 feet.
According to Wikipedia, it's 123. It could have been 163 before they relocated it.
Also, it is in a very bad location.
Yes, I think it used to be better back when it was an action park by Magnum in what's now Soak City. Or not Soak City, Cedar Point Shores.
If everyone wants to know what's the best Skycoaster, well, for nondescript reasons, it's at the Great Escape.
Ooh, is it?
Yeah. There were some variables that led to it being freaking fantastic.
Really? Like what? Are you able to say? Guess not. Guess you got to go ride the Great Escape Skycoaster.
Give Six Flags some more money, please.
Yeah, they need it. They really do.
Please, I really need to be paid. Please give Six Flags money.
So Sam and Brennan, when you walk up to a Skycoaster, what is your full experience?
Well, first you give them your ticket. Then they take you to the shooting area. And they put a flight suit on you.
Hopefully not a red one.
If you're
Unless
like
you're
me
tall.
and not that tall.
In which case,
I wear a red one.
And then they do the spiel, and they ask you if you're willing and capable of doing.
When you grab onto this loop, you'll have a pulling resistance
similar to picking up a 50-pound
suitcase. Are you capable and willing to do this?
Yes.
No, I'm not. Please get me out of this flight suit.
Got it.
And then you wait, depending on if there's a line or not.
There's not a line.
Sometimes there is. Cedar Point got really busy last year.
During
ours had a. This is gonna sound completely crazy, but ours had a 45-minute wait.
Wow.
Besides the point, they'll call you up to the platform, and they'll hook you up to the what was it called, Sam?
The launch bridle.
The launch bridle. And they'll do a series of checks.
Ending with carabiners.
And then they'll drop the platform, which is the worst part of the ride. In my opinion.
Seriously, because you go from standing upright to then falling flat on your face towards the floor. And if the Skycoaster ops mess up, you will plop into the floor if the ops aren't paying attention. or do something wrong. I've had it happen once.
And then they do another series of checks.
Yep.
And they end it off with "Ready to fly, let's fly." And then they do another spiel about your ripcord and how it's on your hip and how you have to pull it when they say 3, 2, 1, fly. And then they bring you back. They bring you up to however tall the sky coaster you're riding is. You slowly go up. You take in the amazing views that you get, hopefully, if it's in a good spot.
Unless it's Cedar Points, in which case you enjoy the view of parts of Forbidden Frontier and the back area by Millennium Force and some dirt.
If you feel like breaking your neck, you can get a good view of Lake Erie. But yeah, you get up to the top, you sit there for a second, and then you hear 3, 2, 1, fly.
Or if you're at Cedar Point, you hear flyers. Your flight line is all clear. 3, 2, 1, fly.
Fly.
Or if you're at a normal park that's not so extra, you hear flyers ready. 3, 2, 1, fly.
Then you pull your ripcord and you are sent into a free fall of however tall your sky coaster is. Well, it's not the same height, but
I believe that the longest free fall I know of is on the Giga Sky Coaster, and it's 100 feet of pure free fall.
And
I could be wrong.
If you're like me and you're flying if you're riding a solo ride and you're anything like me, you'll get like 3 good swings in before you have to grab the loop, which kind of sucks.
That is another important thing with sky coasters. The more people you fly with, the more enjoyable the ride experience.
Objectively,
generally, the more weight you have, the more swinging and the more intense ride.
Yeah, I'm someone who's been in the middle of a triple flight, like in the dead center.
Which, we didn't even mention. You can fly with up to 3 people. Yeah,
so basically, the way that waiting sky coaster works isn't as complicated as you think. It's literally just the tallest person sits in the middle, and the person who is having their first ride is on the ripcord side. That's at least how we do it. We say, "Oh, this is your first ride. You're the one pulling the ripcord to get up there."
And then, Sam, can you explain the course of events if someone refuses to pull the ripcord?
Well, you'll say 3, 2, 1, fly a few times. You'll ask, "Are you okay?" If they answer, "No, I'd like to come down," you slowly winch them down in what we like to call the winch of shame.
Aww. Sad.
And then you get off, and I have to, unfortunately, refund you.
You shouldn't get refunded for that.
That was very uncalled for.
It's true. You already made them waste the money winching you up and down.
Well, you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. You shouldn't get refunded for the winch of shame.
No, I don't think so either.
Honestly, I just hate doing refunds. So yeah, I agree.
That's right. You knew when we say Sam worked at a sky coaster, we mean Sam was the cashier at a sky coaster.
No,
To conclude this video, is there anything either of you would like to add about sky coasters?
Strata sky coaster. Needs to happen.
Agreed.
I mean, sky coasters are awesome. It's a joy to be around them all day.
I would if you're watching this video and you've not been on a sky coaster, next time you see one, go ride one. Some of them are kind of expensive. That's another thing. Cedar Point is pretty cheap. Especially if it's at
Six Flags.
Six Flags likes to overcharge. Sorry, Sam. That's too expensive.
Hey, I can explain why they're so expensive.
We get it. You're in your Six Flags. You're in debt. We figured it out.
No.
Anyway,
I think it was expensive. It was expensive before the park flag.
We'll just go ahead and mute him. I think that'll end out this video here on Sky Coasters. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.